No, it's okay. It's okay. We'll work it out. But if there is one, it'll be really cool. We'll soon find out. Is that plugged in properly? Turn the switch on. Is that the switch?
You have the plug over there on the back.
Which one?
Okay, here we go. It's good. It's good. We'll drive, but. And if we can find an Ethernet cable, it'll be cool. But don't worry if you can't. Okay. I'm sort of ready to go. Thank you, Louise.
Check on the box, the Wi-Fi box.
Okay. Okay. Are we good? We're good. Okay. All right. We'll see how this works out, shall we? I'll try and stand mainly here. Okay. Don't worry.
How long you need the example? 4 meters, 5 meters?
Don't worry if you can't get it.
Maybe you can.
It only needs to go from here to here.
Okay.
Short.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it's a Cat 5, standard Cat 5.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, but
Let me check.
we can start now.
Yeah, sure. If you have computer things, you know.
Yeah.
Maybe you can start.
Okay, shall I go? Shall I go? I'm going to go, yeah? Huh? Oh.
But we are already broadcasting.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. So
Okay.
you
Présenter. Merde, j'ai rien pour accrocher.
Ah si, j'ai.
Il y a une pince là, c'est bon.
C'est bon. Qu'est-ce que j'ai?
Aïe. Ok, c'est bon? Tu t'entends?
Ouais, je t'entends.
Ok. Bon. Bon. C'est bon pour vous? Alors, nous allons commencer. Tout d'abord, merci beaucoup à tout le monde d'être venu. Donc, je vais vous présenter. Il y a Paul Isaacs qui vient nous voir donc, des États-Unis, qui est le directeur du développement donc, chez SoundDevice. Et Vojtech qui prend des photos. Pokorny qui est donc le directeur commercial Europe. Voilà, vous allez pouvoir. Il va vous faire petite explication des derniers produits et surtout de la série 6, également des A10 puisque vous savez que Audio Limited a été racheté par SoundDevice. Et surtout, n'hésitez pas à poser vos questions par rapport à l'utilisation, à tout ce que vous pouvez rencontrer comme problème, parce qu'il n'y a pas ici que des gens qui travaillent en entreprise, mais aussi beaucoup sur le terrain. Voilà. So please, Paul.
Thank you, Louise. Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it, and sorry to keep you waiting. My name's Paul Isaacs, as Louise just said, I presume, because I didn't understand a word she says. Je suis anglais. Surprise, surprise. Mon français est merde. That's all I know. So I will attempt to talk slowly. If I speak too fast, just say, hey, slow down. Okay? This is a really great turnout. It's like double what I thought it would be. I mean, look at all the people over there. So, yeah, this is a great turnout, and I really appreciate it. It's really nice to be in Paris. It's been a long time since I've been in Paris. It's a really great city. So, today I'm going to focus giving you an overview of current Sound Devices products. There's a wide range of them. And I want this to be as much a bi-directional conversation, okay? I don't want to just be talking at you for an hour. That would be very boring. Okay, so if you have any questions or thoughts or ideas, please just bring them on, okay? Also, my voice is starting to get a bit tired. I've been running around this afternoon, partly preparing for this presentation, partly being a sound engineer, mixing for a band's rehearsal, partly being a sound engineer for a band up here, and just general roadie, So, can I get an idea of how many production sound mixers are sitting out here right now? Any production sound mixers? Sound engineers?
Sound recordist, not mixer.
Sound recordists? Okay, is that the preferred term in France?
Sorry.
People who record dialogue for TV and film and documentaries and stuff like that. Okay, so maybe about half of you. That's great. What about broadcast? Broadcast engineers? Oh, one here.
Broadcast is professional?
Yeah, like broadcast studio engineers, something like this.
On location?
Not on location. Okay, what about musicians? Any musicians in the audience? Cool. So we had about 4 there. Is that something you do in your spare time?
Yeah.
It's very difficult to make money out of music, but it's great fun. I'm a musician too, by the way, piano. Piano is my thing. So what I want to do is start by just giving you an overview of our products, and I need to find out how familiar you are with some of them. So what I want to do is first give you an overview of the 6 series recorder range. Then I want to talk about the new MixPre series that came out. The first models came out about a year ago today. And I also would like to quickly touch on the 970, which is a 64-track audio recorder. So, and we'll also talk about audio limited wireless too. So, let's start by asking the question, how many of you are familiar with the 6 series mixer recorders? Right, a good proportion of you. Okay. And who actually owns a 6 series recorder? Okay. So, you'll have some good questions, hopefully. So, the 6 series is a range of portable recording mixers. And they come in different shapes and sizes. This is the big daddy of the 6 series family, known as the 688. This is a 12-input, 16-track mixer recorder. And then we have the this little cutie, the 633. This is a 6-input, 10-track recorder, and pretty small. So they all share a common architecture. I should just briefly mention, actually, the predecessor to the 633 and the 688 was the 664. This came out about 5 or 6 years ago, I think, and 664. And this was basically a hybrid analog digital recorder mixer. So all the mixing and the routing was done in the analog domain, and obviously the recording is all digital. So the analog had to be converted to digital. The 633 and the 688, on the other hand, are fully digital mixer recorders. In other words, the routing is digital, the processing is digital, the mixing is digital. And this allows us to have a lot more flexibility. It allows us to add some cool features like auto-mixing. Is everyone familiar with the fact that the 6 series, the 633 and the 688 can auto-mix? Okay. We're the only portable recorders on the market that offer that function. And we'll talk a little bit more about that shortly. So basically, the 6 series is not really just about the mix recorder. Yes, it's 12 in. I'm going to focus a little bit here on the 688. Much of what I say is going to apply to this. But just remember that there's different numbers of inputs and outputs. So the 688 has 12 inputs. 6 of them are mic line switchable, and there are further 6 inputs online. We also have 6 inputs that can come directly from this integrated wireless unit here, which is, the model number is the SL6. And this allows us to connect directly from the output of various types of manufacturers' receivers into the 688. And we use a protocol which Sound Devices developed called SuperSlot. Again, a bit more about that shortly. We also have AES 42 and AES 3 digital inputs on the 688. So great for working with digital mics or any other digital source. Now, beyond the recorder, and this is great for over-the-shoulder type applications, reality, documentaries, TV work, all sorts of different types of work. But sometimes you want to be sitting on a cart or a trolley or whatever you call those things in France. What do they call them in France? Roller? Roulant. I thought it was something like that. So the CL12 here is a control interface which connects to the 6 series. So this is the brains. Think of this as the brains behind the whole ecosystem. So this controller connects via USB, one cable, to the 688. And that one cable provides powering. It provides the serial data control. All you need is a really easy plug and play type affair. We can also take the audio from the 688 via the headphone out and connect it into the back of the unit here so that you can monitor via headphones directly from the front of the controller. So that's a really nice tactile interface. Allows you to get access to far more tactile hardware controls, like your linear faders for your 12 inputs, dedicated PFL switches. You have the ability to route very easily using these select buttons. You can access metadata and enter metadata very quickly. How many people use metadata when they're recording? Has it become like a standard requirement now? electronic metadata in France? Is it now standard? Okay. So yeah, with this system, it's very easy to enter scene, take, notes, individual track names, and various other metadata. And then this metadata can be very easily written into an electronic sound report with the touch of a button. It's really, really nice. And that sound report will be stored in the same folder as all your audio material. So then you can just hand that material off to post and they've got everything they need, sound report and associated files. Am I still speaking too fast or slow? Good?
Okay.
Wow. Another cool controller for the 6 series is a wireless controller. So this is iOS. There's also an Android version of this. We call this app Wingman. Is everyone familiar with Wingman? Have seen this or heard of it?
Yes.
Okay. So it communicates via Bluetooth LE, and we supply like a little USB dongle. It's actually sitting in the back of the CL12 right here. You can just about see that. Just a little like USB little thumb drive, but it's not a drive, it's a Bluetooth transmitter and receiver. And that allows us to control this whole setup from an iPad, which is really nice. I say control everything. It has, we support the ability to read your 12 meters, ISO meters. You can see the mix here. You've got metadata entry fields for the current and the next take. And then you have transport controls and a nice time code readout here. You can do things like enter track names very easily from the keyboard. You have the ability to very quickly arm and disarm tracks here. So it's a really nice wireless interface. Okay, so, and you can see here just by touching here, I can roll the recording. Yeah, please.
Just the problem with the remote, we got it with the 688.
Mm-hmm.
We can't read files after a take. When the director say, I want the third or fourth.
Play back.
Yes.
Right.
Can't we do that?
Because we have not implemented that feature yet, but it's understood.
Okay.
Thank you for the request. We are recording this, so everything that we hear is being noted. But yeah. So you can see here that you can start and stop recording. So a really nice interface. In terms of ease of use, this is really easy to learn, the 688 system. It's got a very friendly user interface. You can simply press the menu button either here or here, and I don't know if you can see this on the big screen here, probably not, but here the main menu is really written in clear, simple English words. I know that's not really fair to the French, but it's very, very simple terminology which makes it really easy to learn how to operate the 6 series without having to go to the user guide. Obviously, the user guide is useful for more esoteric functionality, but I think this recorder is really easy to pick up. It's got a quick learning curve. Is any 6 series users agree with that comment here? Yeah. And that's very important to us, that the recorder and mixer that you are using is low stress to operate in the fields, because your job can be very pressurized. So having an easy system to navigate is key. So I'm not quite sure how much detail you want me to go into on the features of the 6 series. Would people like me in general to go into more detail on the features on the 6 series? I'll take that as a no. I am going to mention one thing. A few things, just basically. Yes, it records to SD cards and simultaneously can record to a CF card at the same time. So you have a ready-made backup or a ready-made deliverable at the end of the day. So Sound Devices, by the way, now does its own media. They're referred to as the SAM SD card and the SAM CF card. And yes, of course, the 6 series will work with a whole range of different media. And we actually have an approved media list on our website. But we really highly recommend these because we've really optimized these for use in our products. We record standard broadcast wave files to the cards. As I said, up to 16 track or 10 track. We can do monophonic or polyphonic recording. We can even do MP3 recording as well if you want to provide a transcription for a transcription house. Is everyone familiar with monophonic versus polyphonic and what that means? Cool. So we can go up to, in terms of sample rate, up to 192 kilohertz. It's great for sound effects capture. Anyone do sound effects capture here? Okay.
Excuse me, could you just precise in a few words the difference between a BWF and broadcast polyphonic and monophonic in a few words?
Okay, so a polyphonic file is when you have all your tracks recorded into one file. They're interleaved and embedded into one long file. The monophonics are one file per track.
Okay.
All right? And post-production sometimes prefers one or the other. It depends on their workflow. So it's always really good to ask post-production what they would prefer. Okay, there are advantages and disadvantages to both, but we won't go into that right now, unless you really want me to. No. Okay, so just a quick overview of the channel screen here. So you can turn on a channel, and then you can choose the source for that channel. It can be anything from a mic, line, it can have phantom, it can be AS42, AS3, or it can be output from your receiver up here. Okay. Actually, on this, I think the nice thing to do right now would be to talk about the SL6 and wireless support in general. Is that a good subject? Okay, I thought it might be. Just a little sip here. Talk amongst yourselves. So, the SL6, as I said, this is something we released on the market now about 3 years ago. And what this is it provides integrated wireless into the 688 system. It connects via a ribbon cable on the bottom of this unit into the top of the 688. And then it bolts down via 4 screws. So it really is truly integrated as one unit. And this helps to reduce any cable clutter going from your receivers. Welcome. The idea is here, I'll just wait for these guys to sit down. Okay. The idea here is to reduce the clutter. So simplifies powering, power cable connections, it simplifies audio cable connections. But it also helps to simplify the whole antenna distribution to all your receivers. So really you just need now 2 antenna systems which are looped through between the various receivers. So you can see what a neat package that is. There's the other key part of the SL6 is that you can control the receivers directly from the 688 interface. Now, often receivers have quite small and fiddly screens, so to be able to control, set up your frequencies, set up your routing from the 688 and view your transmitter battery level, your RF level. It's really nice to be able to see it from here. We can even instigate a scan from this the 688, and it will plot out a nice little RF graph, and so you can see which frequencies are cleared for selection. It makes this process much easier.
Just a question, does it work with different type of radio mics or only with the audio limiters?
Good question. So yes, it does work with a range of manufacturers. So what Sound Devices did is invent a new electromechanical interface, and we call it super slot. So if you've heard of that word, it was something that Sound Devices developed, and it's basically a 25-pin D-sub connector, which provides powering. It provides audio, both digital and analog, and it provides serial data communication. So we have worked very closely with Electrosonics, Wizicom, Sennheiser, and of course Audio Limited to control their receivers directly from our 688. Okay, so yes, this is like something we are open about. Sound Devices. We like to collaborate with different manufacturers and be open, because we know people have different preferences. The nice thing about this is you can mix and match receivers. You don't have to be all Electrosonics. You don't have to be all Audio Limited, although I would highly recommend it. Or you don't have to be Wizicom, all Wizicom. You can just mix and match. Yeah, this is a really nice flexible system. Now the SL6 will power the whole system. It has a DC input going from 10 volts to 18 volts, and also an MP1 battery slot here. These can be used to power the entire system, not just the receivers in the SL6, but also power the 688 and your CL12. So that's a really nice power distribution system right there. You can see how this really neatens up and tidies up your setup. You had a question, sir?
Just a question about the SL6. There's no amplifier for the antennas?
Sorry, there's no active power?
Amplifier?
We have.
For the antennas, for the power,
Right, we have. There is an amplifier there, but you're talking about extra boost. Is that what you're saying? I don't believe so. I'm not 100% sure on that answer. I don't think so. So yeah, I'd have to sort of answer that question at a later stage. We do have the ability to power active antennas, so there is a 12-volt bias in here too. So really flexible system. You can see that how easy it is. I can select like an overview of my SL6, my 6 channels of receive here from this screen here, the receiver overview. I can even select it from my CL12 just by pressing the super slot button, like so. And here you can see audio level. You can see currently I'm coming in on receiver 3, and RF level. I can see transmitter battery level status. From here, I can select any of these receivers and configure it with a specific frequency. Okay? So I can come here and choose. I can select by actual frequency. I can select by TV channel. I can select by sub-channel. And then program that into the receiver. Also have, as I mentioned before, the ability to scan, and we can do that with Electrosonics and Wizicom, and soon on the Audio Limited too. Any questions so far on the SL6?
For the input, you can choose analogic or numérique in this configuration.
Right.
It's a question.
Yes, so by default, it will automatically set to digital if they are digital compatible receivers. Okay.
Yes.
If
But
they're
if you want force the analogics.
if you can override that, yes, and go analog if you prefer.
Because you have compressor in numérique. In digital, you have compressor.
Compander
Compressor.
in the digital wireless,
Yes.
there's no compressor. No. Are you talking about companding?
Limiter or limiter.
Oh, in the transmitter?
The input.
You're talking about in here?
Yes.
Oh, yes, there's analog limiters on every input, yes. There's digital as well, yes.
Yes.
Both analog and digital. So if you come in digitally, you have limiting as well. Yeah. Sorry, I didn't understand your question. Next question. Yeah.
SL6 is for the SD688. Is there something equivalent for 633?
No. You want that? Okay. Yes, we've heard that one before a few times. It makes sense. It makes sense. Okay. So at this point, it might be good to sort of give you an overview of our Audio Limited. Now, I don't know if any of you are aware, but Sound Devices bought... Sorry, Karen.
I just wondered about the automatic mixing. Can you explain that?
Yes, okay. So yeah, our system is the only device that actually includes auto mixing. Auto mixing is great for any scenario where there's a lot of a lot of microphones. And in that situation, it becomes quite difficult to manage background noise because if you have that many open microphones, it can cause a lot of amplification of the background noise. So auto mixing has been around for decades and decades. And the idea of an auto mixer is to close a microphone or attenuate a microphone that's not currently being spoken into. Okay? So if you had maybe 12 open microphones, that's a lot of background noise. But if only one person is speaking, why don't you automatically attenuate the others? Okay? So we have some very sophisticated auto mixing algorithms in the 688 and 633, part of here too. And we are the only portable recorder manufacturer to offer this. We provide two algorithms. One's called Dungan, which is pretty much known in the industry as the standard auto mixing algorithm. In fact, he was the first to really come out with the most effective auto mixing algorithm back in I think it was the sort of 70s. And he came out with a system which is patented now, so no one's allowed to duplicate it. It's like a very cool sort of like gain sharing system which automatically balances the microphones according to who's speaking at one time, and it attenuates certain others, and it does this dynamically on the fly to maintain like a 0 dB gain through the system, so it's not constantly jumping up and down in level, the overall mix.
Will that affect every track or only the mixed track?
Only affects the mixed track because the feeds to the...
Can I just 30 seconds to explain to people? Just excuse me, can I just on va faire passer ce petit micro HF. Vous faites passer pour poser les questions, parce que sinon sur le live du Facebook, il n'y a pas vos questions. D'accord. Donc juste prévoyez, vous levez la main, et puis comme ça on a le temps de faire passer.
No problem. So, answer to your question, no, only affects the mix. So the feed into the auto mixer is post-fader, so it doesn't affect the ISOs. Okay. So we offer the Dungan algorithm, very, very effective. And then we also offer our own design, which is called Mix Assist, which is, again, very, very effective. In terms of which one you choose, we highly recommend that you listen to both, depending on the situation and the environment and how many open mics there are. You know, there's a general perception that the Dungan AutoMix sounds a little bit smoother overall and works better with maybe a fewer microphones, whereas the Mix Assist seems to offer better noise reduction, especially in situations where there are a high number of microphones. But really you have to explore both to decide which is best for your scenario. But this can be a really handy tool, especially in a conference type situation, where it's very difficult to manage closing microphones, which, you know, the misconception is that auto mixing sort of takes the job of the mixer away. It's not designed for that. The mixer still is the mixer, and he's still setting the balances and the correct balance between various sources. All that the auto mixing does is to help you close microphones that aren't in use, and it can really simplify things in that scenario. Any other questions?
Two questions. Is it like a gate, noise gate?
It's much.
It works like a noise gate. And the second question: if somebody makes, it will open. It will send this sound in the mix.
Yes, it will. So it's a lot more advanced than just a simple gate. You know, the first attempts at auto mixing were very just simple gates where you'd have a source just completely cut out and then suddenly cut back in, and it ended up being a totally non-smooth mix, and it was not very pleasant. Now, there are many techniques we use for. We have. In the Mix Assist algorithm, we have a dynamic threshold which continually monitors the background noise and adjusts to determine at what point to open or close a microphone. It also doesn't fully attenuate. Typically, it attenuates by a common level of attenuation is 15 dBs, and that helps to make it sound more natural. But we actually do offer the user the ability in the AutoMix menu here. In fact, let me just show you this quickly. If I select the AutoMix menu here. Okay, that's cool. So first of all, let me just show you this box at the top. I can select either Mix Assist, or I can select Dungan here. Dungan Auto Mix. So with Mix Assist here, we can choose which of our 12 inputs are going to be taken into the auto mixer to be processed. You don't have to have all your inputs allocated to the mixer. You can leave some out. You just deselect them. But here, you can also change the amount of attenuation you want applied when the system determines that it's an unused mic. So you can experiment with that to optimize the amount of background noise and to optimize the smoothness of the final mix. Okay. So yeah, the auto mix uses a number of things, an adaptive threshold. It also has various techniques for, if you had, for instance, two microphones, both picking up the same speaker, that could cause some sort of like comb phasing problems. So the system is intelligent in the fact that it will look for the loudest of those two signals and then just use that one and not both. And that helps to really keep a nice clean signal. There's the way that Mix Assist works in terms of keeping a nice consistent mix level is for every open mic, the mix gain is dropped by 3 dB. So it helps to keep the unity gain through the mixer. And then if there's only one mic open, even if that mic, the talent stops speaking into that mic, it will leave that last mic open, so you suddenly don't get a full drop in level. It's called last mic lock-on. So there's a whole bunch of techniques which we apply in this algorithm, advanced techniques, which really do work fantastic in that situation with many mic sources. It's also great for situations for reducing the chance of feedback. It allows you to boost gain a little bit more without getting feedback. So by managing the number of open channels. So it's really useful for that application as well. Any further questions on auto mixing? Okay.
Imagine you have a boom and like 4 radio mics, and you want to do a mono mix of all the 5 mics. You just put the radio mics in the mix assist and leave the boom out. How would it manage the sound between the boom not being in the auto mix and the 4 wireless being in the auto mix, and you're mixing mono?
Right. So in that case, the boom mic will always be open.
Sure.
Right.
Just like usually in documentaries or different situations, you have to boom, but you have to like wire people, but since you're booming, you don't have the ability to like run the levels on the radio mics. Mm-hmm. So could mix assist be a good option for that?
Absolutely, sure.
But you still have the boom open all the time.
Yes.
But it's gonna work on the 4 radio mics.
Yes, and as I said, the way to achieve that would be to select in your auto mix menu here, deselect the channel that your boom mic is connected to, so that it's not routed through the auto mixer, and you just route. Okay. Okay. That makes sense. Okay. Let's talk a little bit more about the audio limiteds now. Okay, so in case any of you didn't know, are you all familiar with audio limited? Have many of you used audio limited wireless?
Let's get to the old one.
The old one, okay. The 2040s.
2020.
Okay. So Sound Devices very recently bought Audio Limited. We have been working with them for quite a few years on super slot wireless integration with the SL6, and it became apparent that we had a lot in common as companies. The primary one of those things being sound quality. The Audio Limited wireless has a reputation for being the best sounding wireless out of all of the players out there, and I think Sound Devices is also generally regarded as being the best sounding recorder and mixer. Okay, that's my opinion, but I'm biased. But a lot of people tell us this. So we felt like we had a lot of common ground and common philosophy in the way that we think about our products, and we got on very well with the team there, so it became like a natural thing for us to tie up closer. So we bought Audio Limited. So now Audio Limited is owned by Sound Devices, and the new A10 digital wireless system, which launched several months ago, is a Sound Devices product. But we continue to use the Audio Limited brand for familiarity. Okay? So the Audio Limited A10 system is a fully digital system. It's not analog FM. It's not a hybrid system like our competitors, like the Wizicoms or the Lectrosonics. This is a fully digital system, which means it's transmitting bits. It's not transmitting an analog FM signal. And this opens up all sorts of advantages. Number one, we don't need to have a compander built into the system, which means we can totally avoid the artifacts that you get even with good companding systems. We've got a really good latency figure of 2 milliseconds from transmitter into the recorder. and we have a range, an RF range, which is comparable to any FM system. And we can achieve that with actually lower power. So in terms of transmitter power, we offer 10, 20 and 50 milliwatts power. And as I said, that can give us as good a range as the equivalent analog system. One of the key important issues of this is the receiver is full band. So it covers the full wide band of 470 megahertz to 694 megahertz. So you only need one type of receiver to cover the whole range. This is really important, especially now with wireless being an area of change in terms of available frequencies. The other really important thing here is that we can fit many channels. We have a very high channel density. We can fit 20 channels into an 8 megahertz band. That's the highest density of any wireless on the market today. This is really, really key when the spectrum is being squashed more and more. We fully conform to the ETSI and FCC new standards and mask standards. And this allows us to very easily fit this number of channels into an 8 megahertz block with very clean masking and edges. So you can actually have 20 transmitters side by side in a box, and they will not interfere with each other. And that's down to the very clean mask. Intermodulation interference is really heavily reduced compared to FM analog systems. So that's some of the advantages there. The transmitter itself, which I'm wearing right now, in fact, yeah, this is all coming through right now. The transmitter, and there's one on here, has got some really cool, unique features about it. They come in 3 bands, each one covering roughly 90 megahertz. There's an A, B, and C band. So you choose the type of transmitter you want. The receiver is full band, as I've already mentioned. The transmitter can not only work with lavalier mics, lapel mics, whatever you want to call them, but it can also work with balanced input signals, balanced line or balanced mic, and it can even provide phantom. This is great, especially if you're wanting to work with this being your boom mic transmitter. The analog, the mic preamps on this are excellent quality, everything you'd expect from an audio limited system. It's got a great analog limiter built in there. It's got low cut filter, and it's really clean sounding. We can control the transmitter via Bluetooth. So we have an app. Let's see if I can get this app running quickly. Here we go. We have an app here which allows me to monitor its time code, which I'll talk about a bit more. You can put the unit to sleep. I can adjust the gain on here. I can set the low cut filter frequency and how much power it should be outputting, whether it's 10, 20 or 50 milliwatts. So now you don't have to annoy the actor or actress by changing settings. So this is a really cool app. The range is around, probably about 7 or 8 feet. Okay. And your overview page shows you all the different transmitters that are currently in operation. So you literally select whichever one you want to control and then go in and make those adjustments. And one last feature, which is by no means the least important, and this is a really cool feature, is the built-in recorder. So this records, I don't think you'll be able to see it from here, but there's a little slot just here which takes a micro SD card, and that will record files. And what you can do is you can jam timecode into the transmitter from your timecode master. We have a special timecode cable. You can jam the unit, and so that all your recorded files have the correct timecode stamp.
How long you can, how many times you can reckon the gap?
How many times? How long? What duration?
Can we conform? How long? 1 hour, 10 hours, 1 week?
It depends on the size of your card. Okay, so micro SD cards come now up to like I even believe 256 gigabyte. So this is going to be weeks and weeks and weeks of recording. It's not a problem, okay? Because we're only recording one channel.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah, one channel. So that's got the correct timecode stamp. Even when you power down the transmitter, it will retain the timecode that you've jammed into it. So when you boot up again, it will start recording again with the same timecode count. So there'll be no drift or offset. So you had a question, sir?
Yeah, just to record with the Bluetooth application, you can record with the Bluetooth.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
So there's like a little record slider here. Okay. I don't know if you can get that. Okay. So
It's cheap.
this is cheap.
Yeah.
I don't discuss price. That's not my job. But yes, it is actually extreme. I would prefer not to use the word cheap because that makes the product sound bad. What I would say is it's extremely good value. You have a recorder, you have digital transmission, super low latency, the best sounding audio. What's there not to like? I mean, again, you tell me a better system out there at the moment. So I want to focus a little bit on the receiver now. The receiver comes in two types. There's one, sorry.
Just another question. Do you imagine you can record on this part with the 688 directly?
Instigate record from the 688?
Like the Bluetooth, you can record with the Bluetooth with the application. Can we do with the 688 because they are the SL6? If you have the SL6 to...
You want this to put this into record
yes,
remotely?
Yes.
That's something we can't do.
You can do?
You
can imagine that? Or?
I'm not going to talk about what might happen next, but all I will say is it's a good idea.
Yeah, okay.
It's a logical, make sense idea.
Okay, thanks.
So the receiver, do we have a receiver? Well, there's receivers sitting here. So there's two types of receiver. There's a super slot based receiver with a 25-pin D subconnector, which slots directly into the SL6. And there's another version which is an XLR-based version of it. And the super slot and the XLR version can be interchanged just by removing the back panel. So 4 screws, it comes off. So you can chop and change it depending on what particular setup you want to work with that day. The receiver has both digital and analog, or analog outputs, you choose. It's full, each receiver is obviously dual channel, and each channel is dual diversity. So it's, this allows you to really sort of optimize the range. The system will automatically look at the strongest of the two diversity signals coming in and go with the strongest one. And when the signal gets weak, it will combine the two signals to extend the range a bit further. So this allows us to get some really good range. Any questions so far? on this. We do have the ability to password protect the RF stream so that no one can pirate in or hack into your audio. So you simply tap in a 4-digit code on your transmitter, and to access that you have to enter the same value on your receiver. Okay, so no one else with an audio limited system will be able to hack in. Not that that's likely to occur, but you know, some people are really paranoid. So another thing that I just want to briefly mention, and we showed this at NAB, is like a prototype of a new A10 rack product, which has 4 super slots, so that's a total of 8 channels, and it has built-in antenna distribution. It also has loop-through of your antenna, so that you can connect another 8 channel units to it, giving you a total of 16. In terms of analog outputs, it has 8 analog outputs, or 8 AES outputs, or 8 Dante outputs. Everyone know what Dante is? No. This is... Pardon? Dante. Yes, it's audio over IP. It's become the world's most widely used audio over IP standard. And personally, I don't think it's going to be long before we're going to virtually see the end of XLRs. Okay, that's an exaggeration. But it really does simplify routing, especially in a complex production set. Being able to pull any channel from almost anywhere on a production set to any track with really low latency is a really cool thing. And it's fully uncompressed, there's no compression, so this Dante is really taking off. So imagine a scenario where you have your 8 channels of receiver sending off to your mixer, your mixing console via Dante, and the ability to very easily route, all by one cable, or by one simple cable. And sort of on that note, I sort of almost like want to switch. How long have I been talking for now?
15 minutes, you have 10 minutes.
I have 10 minutes, so I'm going to have... MixPre or 970?
I don't know, 5 and 5.
Pardon? 5 and 5. Okay, I've got 5 minutes on 5 products. Okay, so basically, Dante is a big thing. This is our 970. Is anyone familiar with the 970? You should get familiar with this. This is a 64-track audio recorder that can record monophonic or polyphonic broadcast waves all the way up to 96K. It's got more connectivity on it than you can imagine. It's got analog in, analog 8 analog in, 8 analog out, 8 AS in, 8 AS out, 64 channels over Dante, 64 channels of MADI, both optical and fiber, full timecode generator, reader, sync in, sync out, GPIO. You can record to 4 drives at the same time. So if you're really paranoid about losing data, one drive, these just use standard SSD drives, 2.5-inch SSD drives. We've even got an adapter for a CF card, if you prefer to record to CF cards. What else can I say? Yeah, here's where you connect the other 2 drives via eSATA. It's even got an RS-422 port on here for remote control. This is a really powerful tool. Another really nice thing about it is you can control it. It's got a built-in web server, which allows you to control it from any computer or device that has a browser on it. Okay? This is a fantastic interface, especially if you want to be changing menu settings quickly, changing routing quickly, entering metadata, editing metadata, all of this stuff. You can even, at the end of the day, instead of handing off a drive, you can transfer all your rushes via Ethernet directly into post. So this is a really advanced multi-track recorder for the future. And if at all you are getting into high track counts, whether it's a live concert, whether it's a reality show with many talent, this is a really good device to look at because of its track count. All right. That was the 970. I'd like to very quickly talk to you about the MixPre-series. Has anyone heard of our new MixPre? Yeah? Okay. So there's 4 models in the MixPre-series. The MixPre-3. Oh, MixPre-3. This little small baby here. In fact, pass it round. Feel how good that feels and how small it feels. We also have a MixPre-6, which is the next one up. Here we go. Okay. And we have a MixPre-10. So the MixPre-3 is 3 XLR inputs. Basically, it's a 3-input, 5-track recorder with built-in mixer. It's also a USB audio interface, so a 5-in, 2-out device. Okay, so it can provide solutions to many different types of work. These are proving to be very popular with videographers and podcasters, and, well, really almost any audio engineer who just wants a really super portable mixer recorder they can just throw in their handbag and take with them anywhere. The MixPre-6 has 4 balanced XLR inputs. Well, actually, they're combo inputs, so they also take 1/4-inch jacks. It's got 2 further inputs on a 3.5mm unbalanced line input here. So you've got 6 inputs and 8 tracks. And as a USB audio interface, it's 8 in, 4 out. It goes up to 192 kilohertz sampling. The MixPre-3 only goes up to 96. It's really not that much of a problem. What else do I want to say? Oh, they all operate with a touch screen, which is really nice. If you can operate an iPhone, then you can operate this thing. We've designed it to be really simple to use because we wanted it to appeal to a much wider audience who maybe are less experienced with audio. So we have like what's called a basic mode, which allows even the most inexperienced operator, like a videographer, someone who doesn't, to get the absolutely really good quality audio. The mic preamps on here, by the way, are in no way a compromise on any of our other professional products that at least match the quality of our preamps. The build quality is the same quality you'd expect. Yes, we have made these more accessible, at a price point more accessible to more people who want to capture good audio, but we haven't sacrificed what Sound Device is known for. Excellent mic preamps and excellent build quality. So that's an 8 in, 4 out USB audio interface. And then finally, I want to quickly show you this one. Okay? Here's our 10T. Okay, so the 10T has 8 XLR combo inputs using our famous Cashmere mic preamps. By the way, a little bit of a word on these preamps. I should not overlook this. They have great analog limiters. They have a really good gain range. Really super low noise floor. So even if you record fairly low level and then you boost in post-production, you will not hear any noise floor come up. And the analog limiters obviously protect against digital distortion. All of these devices record all the MixPres record to a standard SD card. Okay, an SD card here. The MixPre-10 though offers the additional capability to auto-copy to a USB thumb drive. So there's a USB-A port here, which you just plug in a standard USB thumb drive, and every time you hit record and then stop on the MixPre-10, it will automatically copy that data. It's not quite the same as simultaneous recording to 2 media at the same time, but effectively it achieves the same goal, that at the end of your day's shoot, you have pretty much 2 media with identical audio on them.
Does the MixPre-3 do the same thing with a USB code?
Right, so the USB-A port is used for a USB keyboard for remote control, but on the 3 you cannot do autocopy. Only the 10. It's different hardware. The USB-C port here is for your USB audio interface. This is a 5:2. The MixPre-6 is an 8 in, 4 out into your computer, and the 10 is 12 channels into your computer and 4 back. So these are really powerful USB audio interfaces as well. If you're into music recording or anything like these are great. Okay. In terms of powering, they can all be powered from AA batteries. There's a 4 AA caddy. There's an 8-way AA caddy somewhere. You can power them from lithium-ion caddies. Just here. Get that out. Come with this. There you go. So this takes 2 Sony L-mount lithium-ion batteries, one on this side, one on this side. The MixPre 3 and 6 can be powered via USB as well. So if you're using like an Anker-style battery pack, really cool for powering there. Hi, question?
Can you use the Wingman with this?
Yes, you can. Yes, the MixPre 3, 6 and 10T have all got built-in Bluetooth. So you don't even need one of these. Okay, it's all built in as standard. Okay, that's gone out now. Never mind. Now there is one. I could talk to you a lot more about this, but I probably have -5 minutes now. So I'm just going to mention one other thing. There's a 4th model called this one's the 10T, and the reason why it's called the 10T, T for timecode. It's got a built-in timecode generator and reader. Okay, so you can do everything that you would expect of a Sound Devices product with timecode. Okay, there's no compromises in that. It's really accurate timecode. Okay, we do have another model of the 10 called the 10M, and the M stands for musician, and we've basically totally rewritten the record playback engine to make this suited to musicians who want to overdub and create songs. So you can think of it as like a portable, battery-powered hardware door. You don't need a computer any longer to make music. You can record up to 12 tracks. You can bounce. You can do punch-ins, punch-outs. It's got a built-in metronome. It's got built-in effects like reverb and air. Once you've built your song, you can then share it with band members or upload it to YouTube or export it for continued work in your DAW. So I really suggest, if you're into music, that you check out the 10M. There's lots of details on our website, but it's a very refreshing way to make music without a computer. I'm a musician. This is the love of my life outside of work and outside of my children and outside of my wife. Music, I've got to get all those 4 things in because this is being recorded and going out live. So for me, it's been very refreshing to be able to make music, compose, without having to sit in front of a computer. And it allows me to be an artist again rather than an IT engineer. And on that note, I'm going to say thank you very much.
Thank you.
No, you've gone. Oh, Ambeo. Anyone heard of ambisonics? Ambisonic. Okay, so you may have all seen that VR and AR and 360 audio is becoming a big sort of thing at the moment. Whether it's here to survive, we don't know. But nevertheless, I think this is being driven primarily by the gaming industry. So there seems to be a much higher demand now to be able to capture audio as a sphere of sound. And ambisonics, which has been around for decades now, is a very great way to capture a sphere of sound just using 4 capsules. Actually, I don't have my Ambeo mic here. Is it? Oh, here, yeah. So, oh God, I should notice. So here you go. 4 capsules in a tetrahedral arrangement. This allows you to capture a full sphere of sound from this center point. So we are releasing firmware for the MixPre 6 and MixPre 10 this summer, which will allow you to record and decode your Ambisonics A format. So we can, anyone who knows about Ambisonics knows that the most common format for working with in post-production is called B format, which is WXYZ. It represents the three dimensions of space, width, forward, back, and up and down. So we can decode to B format on the fly in real time with this new software, and crucially, we can actually decode that to left-right stereo while you're recording, so you can actually hear that it makes sense. And on top of that, we'll also be able to decode to binaural. So you'll be able to, on set in real time, be able to hear the full 360 perspective. Watch out for this, it's coming this summer, and it's a free upgrade. The one last thing I want to mention, I forgot to mention this. I just mentioned the 10M with all this music-oriented focused features. We will be providing those features as a plugin for owners of MixPre-3, MixPre-6 and the MixPre-10T. That'll be a plugin. You'll be able to download a license from our website and then apply that to your 3.6 and 10T. Any questions?
I don't understand what is the plugin for the...
Okay, so I mentioned the 10M, musicians, focus, multi-track record, all that functionality of overdubbing, punching, bounce, effects, we are making available as a plugin at quite a low charge that you'll be able to load on a 3, 6 and 10T. Okay. Any other questions? Are you at the back here?
Will it an update of the firmware for the 633 for Ambisonic or not? Or only for the MixPre?
Only the MixPre.
Okay.
Yes.
So for the VR, MixPre are already the best choice?
Pardon?
For the VR
yes,
sound recording?
Definitely, that would be the choice for if you want to go into that field, the MixPre-6 or the MixPre-10T. Yeah, depending what you want to do. Absolutely.
You have a function to group the level, input level?
Yes, that's an essential part of this because the capsules are matched. So it's important that they all have exactly the same gain. So yes, when you buy this, actually you can do this now. You can already link 4 channels, and so that the gain of all 4 can be controlled with one knob.
And in the 633 you cannot?
No, you can only stereo link in the 633.
And yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Just a question about the quality of the sound. I know that is a subjective question.
Yes.
But for example, I have an old sound device 442, which is about 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And for example, I wouldn't not record some music with this machine because, from my opinion, it's less good than a SQN4, for example, of the same generation. It's not a warm sound. You understand?
Okay. I think
is it really different, the sound of the M10? Because I would like to have a machine to record sound for television and to make like you do, to record some music and to over record.
That's a really good question. These mic preamps are different from other preamps we've designed, and they do have that musical warmth to them. It's a Class A discrete component design. We're not using an off-the-shelf chips for this. It's sort of using a similar sort of architecture to the Neve consoles that we all know and love. So, as you say, it is a subjective thing. I would definitely recommend having a listen to them because they do sound very musical. Not only that, the headphone amplifier sounds really nice as well. It's full bandwidth. So you get a really good, warm, solid bass, and punchy, and we've got good clarity as well. So, yeah, I think you should have a listen. I think you'll be very impressed.
Because, for example, I wouldn't record classical music with 2 mics on a 442, but I would record with a SQN, and with this machine, it's possible also.
I think you'll like it, but give it a listen.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay.
And there is some evolution about the 688, the future.
You are the guy who asks about the future, and I'm the guy who says I'm not talking about the future.
Because I have one and I want to know what's about 688.
This is our premium product right now. This is it, and it's a very powerful system that has everything you need to be the best mixer.
Except the playback.
Except the playback. There was a question at the back there. You were just about to put up your hand?
Yes. I wanted to know for the MixPre-serie, the three knobs in the front,
yes,
they're controlling the track levels, right?
They can be set to control the track levels or your mix or your faders. There's
But
various
not
modes.
the gain level.
But not the gain level?
The gain.
The trim gain?
Yeah, the trim gain.
Yes, you can set them to do
You
that.
can
too.
set it.
Yeah.
Okay.
The device is flexible. There's different modes of operation, and you can sort of customize how you want the unit to run. There's actually, while we're on this subject, I do want to mention one feature actually, which we did just offer as a free firmware update. It's called Remix. And this is a really nice feature on the MixPre series. Imagine you've recorded a whole bunch of takes and you go back and listen to a take and then you hear that one of the interviewees or contributors was too low in the mix, or someone was too loud, or maybe there was a rustling on a radio mic and you wanted to remix that take and re-record it. You could select that take, hit play, it will play back, and while it's playing back you can adjust the faders to fix the mix and re-record that mix. So this is a really nice feature for fixing problems rather than calling the talent back, you know, which is most times impossible.
I didn't find the feature to put the trim gain on the knobs.
I can show you. I can show you after. Hi.
Yeah, on the MixPre-6, it seems that you can't control with the knob both at the same time the trim gain and the fader. You can have one in the basic mode or the other in the advanced mode.
All I'm going to say here is that you can configure the units to be a dual gain stage or a one gain stage. Okay? If you set it to basic one gain stage, basically that knob will be your trim and fader at the same time. Okay, so that means any adjustments you make to your mix are also going to affect your ISO level, which most people don't want to do. Most people want to keep their ISOs clean. Okay, if you want that, you have to go into dual gain stage mode, and you do that by going to advanced mode. And there are some in-between modes which you can configure using custom mode. I don't want to go into that now, but you can select part of one mode and part of another mode to give you control over different aspects of the game. Any other questions? I think that's good. No time code, except via, actually you can, it doesn't have a built-in time code generator, so you can't use it as a master. But if you have a camera which outputs HDMI time code, you can use that, or you can use something like a tentacle sync or an ambient nano locket and feed the output of that into the auxiliary input here, and then you can set the unit to read that as time code.
So
and
it's
stamp
a
it fast.
reader, just a reader.
Just a reader, yeah. Anything else?
On the 10, there is no AutoMix?
No AutoMix. Choices, choices, choices. The best recommendation I have for you is get one of each. And that's actually doable because the MixPre series are very accessible price-wise. I mean, you'd be surprised, you know, how you can get this quality at this price. Our main reason was to bring Sound Devices quality to a wider audience. There are limitations with the MixPre series. I would not recommend using it on a complex production set. It's got very few outputs. and you need lots of outputs when you're on production sets. And it's not as tactile because there's so few controls, so you have to use a bit of the touch screen. So any true professional production sound mixer, sound engineer, I think will enjoy the 6 series better because it's much more tactile and immediate interface. Okay? But you have to make your own choices. Okay, I think we've wrapped up here. Would you say, Louise?
Je pense que si vous avez encore des questions, et je pense qu'il peut y en avoir, Paul est encore à notre disposition pendant un petit moment dehors, donc je vous invite à aller lui poser directement toutes les questions, that they can just go and ask you also the questions.
Sure.
Malheureusement, on n'a pas la salle pour... on va laisser la salle. Et après, surtout, je sais qu'il y a également ici des revendeurs, vous pouvez tester les machines chez eux, chez nous, poser des questions également par téléphone, etc. Voilà. En général, les sound devices sont bien représentés en France, donc normalement, il y a de quoi répondre à toutes vos questions. Voilà. En tout cas, merci beaucoup à Paul d'être venu et merci à vous aussi pour votre présence.
Thank you everybody for coming. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Et aussi, nous avons prévu un petit apéritif pour ceux qui veulent continuer à poser.